Okay, so let's take a look at using AI during this course. Let's look at some of the pros and the cons, where it's useful and where you should probably avoid it too. So there's loads of different AI and kind of large language models out there that can help you with your coding. So the most common ones that you may have seen will be kind of ChatGPT. You may have seen GitHub Copilot as well, which is more of a code kind of focused large language model. We've got Claude as well, which is used mostly by writers because apparently it sounds a little bit more human. And we've also got another one, Ask Cody. I've used Ask Cody a few times before. It's pretty good. But in terms of the actual kind of enterprise level stuff that you might see. Mostly I'm seeing ChatGPT used and GitHub Copilot and then also Tabnine as well. These are kind of code auto-completers and stuff like that. So the good news is that during this course, we will cover how to use all of these tools effectively and how to use them to kind of improve your coding and to make you a faster, better developer. The bad news is that I really do not want you to use them just yet. And there's a really good reason for this. And it's because whilst you're learning and you're being educated and you're trying to learn all of these skills, relying on AI and large language models is just going to make it so that you don't learn as effectively as you could. Now, it might feel a little bit kind of the wrong way round when you've got a tool there that can help you write your code or write a project for you not to use those. But what we're doing here is we're literally rewiring your brain to learn all of the skills that you'll need to then be able to use AI in a good way and to become a decent developer. The thing that I would just say is that AI is available to everyone, whether you're a good developer or a bad developer. So who would you hire? A good developer that can use AI or a bad developer that has to use AI? I know which one I'd pick anyway. There is one exception that you can use AI for during this course. And that's asking ChatGPT to reframe, or any large language model really, but asking your AI tool, hey, can you just explain this to me, please? So AI can be really good at kind of rephrasing and reparsing through information. So with the best will in the world, I'm not going to be able to come up with every single analogy that could possibly help you understand a certain subject. I try to explain all of the topics in as much detail as possible to help you build the mental models that you'll need to then kind of retain the information and build these processes and ways of thinking. Unfortunately, I don't know your specific background and what in life will make you kind of understand all of these topics. So what you can do is use ChatGPT or another large language model to sort of say, hey, can you explain this topic like I'm a 5-year-old? Or can you explain this topic with a little bit more detail? And you can ask it questions such as, this is how I think this works. Am I correct? And it can give you a really quick feedback loop to kind of confirm or deny what your expectations were. That said, please do not use large language models as a substitute for your one-to-one tutoring. This is where we can give you really good information and resources that directly relate to the course that you are on and the point in the course that you are on. So ChatGPT and other large language models are great for kind of reparsing and explaining things to you in a different way, but don't rely on these as your only source of teaching or learning. So what are some of the things that you can ask your large language models, such as ChatGPT? Some of the ways that I've seen students use it in the past is when your instructor tells you something, but you can't remember a few weeks down the line exactly the way that they said it. Now, I would encourage you to go back and look at the recording and look through the notes of whatever lesson you have that was explained to you. But it can just be a nice way of saying, hey, can you just explain the difference between this and this for me? Or you can say, explain this like I'm a 5-year-old. I'm just really not getting this. I just want another perspective on how something works. If you heard something in a lesson and you kind of think you get it, but you just want to hear another way of it explained to you, then you can use ChatGPT or another large language model to do this for you. Another way that I do actually kind of encourage you to use it is, let's say you write a function, and don't worry if this doesn't make too much sense to you just yet. You write a function that's supposed to iterate over, say, a list of fruit names. Now, it's very simple for you as a developer to just go ahead and write an array with 3 names in it. But let's say you want to then test that function to work with 100 names or 1,000 names. Now, it would be very kind of time consuming for you to write out that list yourself. So one of the ways that I would encourage you to use a large language model is say, hey, can you just make a JavaScript list or a JavaScript array containing 100 names of people or fruits or cars or something like that? In this instance, it will save you time with that kind of monotonous, repetitive task. But please note that there is a fine line here. I still want you to cite when you've used ChatGPT for this purpose. The big thing that I'm trying to drill into you here really is that you should not just copy code. If you go and copy code from either an AI language model, from another student, or just from the internet, this is what's called plagiarism, which leads us nicely on to what is and what is not plagiarism. So first of all, what is it? I mean, quite simply, it can be copying just another student's code. It can be just copying code from the internet, such as Stack Overflow or GitHub, and then putting it into your own projects or homeworks. It's also using an AI code generator to produce your code for you. So that could be GitHub Copilot, that could be ChatGPT, that could be Claude, any of these large language models, asking it to create code for you and then copying that into your projects. It's important to note that this all still applies if you copy the code and then just alter it to look like it's yours. So for example, changing variable names or changing iterator names. That's still plagiarism. But let's have a look at what is not plagiarism. So for example, if you go ahead and look up some syntax online to help you with a solution that you've thought of course that's not plagiarism. Developers, we do it all the time. And there's no point kind of trying to memorize something that you can look up. I think it may have been Einstein that said that. So go ahead and think of a solution to the problem and then go online to either your large language model or to Google to then look up kind of the specific syntax that will help you with that solution. It's not plagiarism to work together with other students. You know, asking a student to kind of have a look through your code, if you're just sat there thinking, I just don't get this, I don't know why it's not working. Asking another student to come in and debug your code with you and talk about your code, that is not plagiarism, and in fact is actively encouraged. Also, asking AI to explain concepts and topics for you is not plagiarism. That's just another tool in your arsenal to make sure that you fully understand a concept or a topic. Additionally, copying some code into ChatGPT and asking it to explain that to you, that's perfectly fine. You know, asking it, why does this work the way it does? Why does this give me the output that it does? That's perfectly acceptable. However, if you copy your code into ChatGPT and say, fix this for me, yeah, that's plagiarism. Also, just like I said in the last slide, asking AI to produce long lists of things, that's not plagiarism, that's just saving time. But you must credit it in a comment so that I know that you've used it to save time. So, how do you stay safe when it comes to plagiarism? The easiest thing to do is to kind of come up with the solution to the problem yourself and then use the resources that you have online to help you solve that problem. Don't just ask, how do I solve this problem? You know, how do I get a prime numbers in JavaScript, for example? Think of how you'll do it and then Google for the syntax of how you're going to implement that problem or that solution. If you do end up copying some code, especially if it's more than maybe 2 lines, even if you do make changes to it, just put a comment next to it saying, this is where I got it from. This is why I copied this code. We're not going to judge you for doing that. Heck, as a developer, I do that all the time. I look at solutions that are online. I say, actually, that fits my use case perfectly. So I'm going to copy that into my project. Just make sure that you put a little comment near it saying, this is what I did, so that as instructors, we can make sure that we help you in the best way possible, and we don't think that you understand a concept or a certain topic when in fact you don't. Just be aware though, if more than maybe 30 or 40% of your solution is copied, even if you are putting these citations in place, we kind of still treat that as plagiarism, because the reality is you're probably not actually learning anything from it. So I hope that all of this makes sense to you. If you're worried about any of these things, please go ahead and put a message in Slack and we'll get back to you with an answer as soon as we possibly can. Additionally, if you're worried that you may have plagiarized something, please relax. It's absolutely fine. Just talk to us and we'll help you understand what it is that you did plagiarize, so that it doesn't become an issue later on when we think that you understand something that you don't. Ultimately, you need to demonstrate that you can actually do the things that we're teaching you, not just copy these things off the internet. So please make sure that you engage with us, even if you think that you've made a mistake in the past. We will absolutely not judge you for it.